Everything's unfolding as it should, and I would be more grateful if I could.
A political prisoner. Embassies of the 10 foreign nations who released a message in support of Kabbalah Sunday, unsure who exactly would be expelled or even when. Declaring a diplomat persona non grata revokes their diplomatic immunity, and it usually results in that person being recalled to their home country. For NPR News, I'm Dari Buskarin in Istanbul.
This is NPR. Colombia says its most wanted drug trafficker has been captured in a jungle hideout. Dairo Usaga had a $5 million bounty on his head. He's accused of sending tons of cocaine to the U.S., where he's expected to be extradited. Off the coast of Canada's Vancouver Island, tugboat crews are spraying hoses at a cargo tanker to cool it down after several containers on board caught fire. Dan Karpenchuk reports.
5 crew members stayed on board the Zim Kingston overnight after 16 were rescued from the vessel on Saturday, but 40 shipping containers were dropped into the ocean. The Canadian Coast Guard says the fire started by rising seas on Friday. A spokesperson for the Coast Guard says by late Saturday, 10 containers were burning. Flames and heavy smoke could be seen from the mainland. U.S. and Canadian Coast Guard officials have issued warnings for Friday. A spokesperson for the Coast Guard says by late Saturday, 10 containers were burning. Flames and heavy smoke could be seen from the mainland. U.S. and Canadian Coast Guard officials have issued warnings for other ships to steer clear of the area and to especially steer clear of the containers in the water which hold materials toxic to marine life. For NPR News, I'm Dan Karpenchuk in Toronto.
Baseball's World Series matchup is set. The Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves meet for Game 1 Tuesday. The Braves beat the LA Dodgers last night for the National League Championship. The last time the Braves made it to the World Series was 1999. Houston is returning to the series for the third time in 5 years. I'm Barbara.
Very nice scale.
In these rooms that have no windows and are climate controlled.
So I have so many questions. Like, for starters, why are there all these remains, all these bodies in this building, in this random DC suburb? Like, what?
Today, I'm going to try to answer that question. And we're going to be looking at some specific remains that people have been fighting over for more than a decade. Nearly 1,500 of those native remains were excavated from Florida. And one native tribe has been fighting the Smithsonian to get those remains back to Florida.
Towards normalcy, and there shouldn't be. And there should be no release of funds so that economy could collapse.
Khalilzad says after the U.S. provided education and cell phones to many Afghans, the Taliban will have a hard time putting them back in a box.
He's a political prisoner. Embassies of the 10 foreign nations.
Cocaine to the U.S., where he's expected to be extradited. Off the coast of Canada's Vancouver Island, tugboat crews are spraying hoses at a cargo tanker to cool it down after several containers on board caught fire. Dan Karpenchuk reports.
5 crew members stayed on board the Zim Kingston overnight after 16 were rescued from the vessel on Saturday, but 40 shipping containers were dropped into the ocean. The Canadian
Those first 2 voices you heard belong to an anthropologist and a museum officer, and we're going to get to them a little later. That last voice you heard belongs to Tina Osceola. She's a member of the Seminole tribe of Florida, and the Florida Seminoles are the tribe that's been leading this fight to have these remains returned. They're a relatively small tribe of about 4,000 people. They're also called the Unconquered because they fought 3 wars against the U.S. government and never lost, and they successfully resisted U.S. attempts to relocate them. And they're also the owners of the Hard Rock Cafe chain.
What? That's of the many things you said that the weirdest thing.
It's pretty random.
All right, so tell me more about Tina Osceola.
I think like how I define myself every day is I'm a grandmother, a mom, a daughter, a sister, Seminole woman, just living my life.
Tina also directs the tribe's Historic Preservation Office, and I want to tell you a little story about her and how she got into this fight. It starts in the year 1983 when Tina is just 15, and she enters the Junior Miss Seminole pageant with a bunch of other Seminole girls.
You know, some of us, not me, but some of them had the big hair, you know.
Sure, Tina. So everybody in 1983 had that flash dance hair. But you, okay.
Yeah, not her though. But she ended up winning that pageant. And part of her role as Miss Junior Seminole was to travel to conferences with other Native youth.
Then you meet, let's say, Miss Navajo, Miss Indian World. You get to hear them speak about what it's like for them. And really, I took those issues in.
In a way, the pageant led her to become politically activated. She said it connected her to struggles all over Indian country.
I do have a keen understanding that whatever we do here in Florida as a Seminole, whatever we fight